Scott McCall, and Jeffrey Hoffman. The opening draw belongs to the Nittany Lions in white. Short stick defensive midfielder Kyle Aldridge comes up with possession. 8-1 Ohio State, 6-1 Penn State, a top 10 matchup for you to sink your teeth into tonight. Wallstrom drifting below goal line extended, picked up by Blake Island. Wallstrom hovering. Here comes the help from Van Buren off the switch.
Yeah, this defense for Ohio State is special. Foster, Brown, and Van Buren at close, but these sled dogs, the shorties, very good as well.
Great catch there. Matthews missed with that flailing effort near goal line. Scooping up off the sideline, Kyle Lehman back in action after missing a couple of games. Ethan Long on the split dodge. Shot clock's down to 20. Pass to the interior, gets away from Amon, and Fayak claims it for the Buckeyes in the scarlet and gray.
Yeah, a little sloppy for Penn State. Not a real good look on Cage. A notable return as well. Matt Trainer has missed the last 2 games for Penn State. He was out on that first possession, but didn't really get a touch. Wasn't really involved. We'll see how he fits in as this game progresses.
Shane O'Leary wears 8 in the scarlet. Picked up on the perimeter by Brendan Leary. First offensive touch for the Buckeyes, who are known for their defense, but head coach Nick Myers reminds us all, hey, we're second best in the Big Ten in offense so far as well. The 2 highest scoring teams in the conference to date.
Ohio State is balanced and they're deep offensively. Not a superstar, but just a bunch of guys that get the job done.
With a defender hung up, Garrett Haas turns and sends a one-handed shot wide of the goal. The backup belongs to the Buckeyes. O'Leary brings it in off the end line. Gets the screen set by Griffin Turner. Turner, 7 seconds to shoot. Gets underneath, brings that one off the iron as Frassian had that short side sealed. They're going to give the ball back to Ohio State.
Yeah, they call a push behind the play on Ohio State. So not only does the ball remain with the Buckeyes, but they get a reset, 80 seconds on the shot clock. Actually, they just reset it to 60. So because of the push, no change of possession, so it's reset to 60. But that's a break for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Nick Myers thrilled with his team's performance recently at Denver. Pumping the win streak up to 8. Second longest winning streak in the nation for these Buckeyes. Donnery exchanging here. Bring it up top for Matthews. On a sneak, Frassian with another stop close to the post as it's taken off the turf by Will Costin, and a clearing effort now for the Nittany Lions at home wearing the white jerseys.
Hey, we talk about Ohio State's defense, and for good reason, but this Penn State unit has quietly put together a very solid beginning of 2025. Alex Ross, number 6 in white, has got the ball right now. It's developed into one of the top cover guys, not just in the conference, but around the nation as well.
Showing off a pretty good handle there. Alex Ross, understated excellence. Firing here. Fayak straightens up to make the save and scampers out of the cage. Nicely flicking this one along towards midfield. Well ridden, though, by Lehman. Off the unsettled situation, the Nittany Lions come up off the turf and have possession.
An incredible ride by Kyle Lehman, number 4 in white. He, like Trainer, missed the last 2 games for Penn State.
Whistling drive there from the short stick defensive midfielder Brendan Leary, who cashed in the last time Penn State was in action. Took down Robert Morris. Nittany Lions have been off for 11 days since that win over the Colonials. Mac Hobbs on the sweep from the top. Mark Dixon mentioned Matt Trainer's in the lineup, good to go. He was questionable heading into play tonight. The leading goal scorer, the second leading point producer. And then there's the fabulous freshman, Aquino, had that rejected by Faya. Another chance and tight score. Matthews on the finish.
This possession all started with the ride from Kyle Lehman, creating the turnover to give a second chance possession to the Penn State Nittany Lions. And a little bit of pinball action results in this goal. Liam Matthews, after Aquino whistles it off the pipe, Trainer picks it up, geeks the ground ball, and then it just flicks into the stick of Garrett Matthews, who's Johnny on the spot, corrals it, slides it past Fayok. Penn State gets the first marker.
12 goals on the season for the sophomore from north of the border, Orangeville, Ontario to be specific. Liam Matthews, who's had hat tricks in each of his last 2 games, gets the Nittany Lions into the driver's seat. They get possession of the ensuing face-off. Ethan Long sets up shop. Luke Wallstrom joining him. Long off of a 4-goal performance against Robert Morris. Wallstrom, the 4th leading scorer, is picked up on the perimeter. Send it up top. Amo for a long bouncer. Fayok the save. Rebound. Follow up and score. Wallstrom on the putback.
Tasty with the big body, Caleb Fayok, the goaltender for Ohio State. He'll make saves, but he does give up rebounds. And Luke Wallstrom, a little ginger, getting off the field. Wallstrom has been playing attack in the absence of Kyle Lehman the last couple of games, but now he's back to his midfield position. But he is going to get the rebound, and he's going to stick it. And watch the contact. And it looks like he landed a little bit awkwardly. We'll keep an eye on the leg health of number 21 in white, Luke Wallstrom, but a second goal off of a garbage situation, if you will, for the Nittany Lions.
His 9th of the season. You can see Wallstrom with a little hitch in his get-along back behind the bench for Penn State. The first 2 salvos on the board for the homestanding Nittany Lions. Getting right back to work in here. Aquino takes the handoff from Colby Baldwin, the face-off man who's not afraid to stay out there and play in the offensive set.
Yeah, Baldwin so far really getting the better of the face-off dot for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Lehman on the go, picked up by Van Buren. Off the screen. Van Buren, believed to be one of the best, if not the best defenders in the country by his head coach, Nick Myers. They ran him through a screen there. Little give-and-go Trainer looking inside Lehman. That's picked off. Sturdy defensive work and the clearing effort for Cullen Brown, looking for numbers for the Buckeyes.
And Matt Trainer's got to move his feet. He's a little rusty. He's been off a couple games, off a couple weeks. Just not moving your feet against this Ohio State defense is a recipe for a turnover. That's exactly what Trainer just committed. And Cullen Brown, you can't say enough good things about number 42 in the scarlet and gray. His game has improved by leaps and bounds.
Brown leads the Big Ten in caused turnovers so far this season. Offensive set, 6-on-6 for the Buckeyes. Griffin Turner getting away from the long stick midfielder Ryan O'Connor. Long drive answered by Frassian. O'Connor on the exchange with Leary to clear.
I think we're seeing both of these teams settling for long-distance shots. And when you have a guy like Fayok and then his counterpart Frassian, got to work to get it a little bit more close inside. Frassian will give up rebounds because he uses his body, in particular his lower body, to make saves, whereas Fayok tends to give up the rebounds bouncing out of his stick. We'll see if both these goalies can make that adjustment.
Long off the sweep, pounds it down over top of the crossbar and out of play. Almost halfway through, just now halfway through this opening quarter. On the way down, Lehman lost that one out of his cross. Buckeyes, one of the stingiest defensive teams in the land. Pierced twice in the early going. Matthews and Wallstrom on the board. If you're joining us a little late, Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you from University Park, PA. Panzer Stadium, home of the Nittany Lions. It's a top 10 matchup between Ohio State and Penn State. Pause on the exchange. It's Ari Allen. They bring it on around for Gannon Matthews. He'll work against Amon. Wide open look here. Fire and score! Ben Mayer.
This is excellent offense by the Buckeyes. As Ohio State's feeling this Penn State defense out, I'm thinking to myself, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? Jeff Tambroni looking on at his defense. A little bit of an undisciplined slide. But here's the defense by Ohio State. Bobby Van Buren with a little bit of a trail check. And then watch Matthews going to the cage, draws the double. Meyer wide open. There is no one within a zip code of number 4 in red. And he pastes the upper 90 with precision.
Goals in 6 of 10 games for Mayer, his 8th of the season. Slicing the Penn State lead in half. Jack Oldman and Colby Baldwin, the men drawing at the face-off tonight. Zach Hepworth just took a turn for Ohio State, subbing in for Oldman. Time to clear for Caleb Fayok. This one wobbly on its way for Kyle Foster. Have 20 seconds to clear that midline.
Nice job by Blake Island, taking matters into his own hands, getting the rock. That's what you're, as a midfielder, that's what you're paid to do. Get the ball on your stick, run it over the midfield line, keep your feet moving, and get it to the offensive personnel.
McKenna kicks it off back behind the cage. Slamming a foot to the turf, it's Garrett Haas. Switch it back. McKenna towering at 6'6". Haas rattles this one around the frame and out. Frassian making good stops and getting a lot of help from the goalposts in the early going.
Yeah, what do we got? 5.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. We've had a couple of pipes on each end, so guys are starting to settle in offensively. They're getting looks, and they're putting it on frame, which is great news. Just a hair to the left, a hair to the right, and they're going to find pay dirt.
Lehman back behind the cage on the exchange here with Matt Trainer, captain for the Nittany Lions. Aquino, laid-back personality, evolving so quickly as a freshman, averaging 3.7 points per game as Aquino. Another guy who is a question mark to play in this game tonight. The handoff for Peden. Gets to the alley. Lehman fires. That Whistler went wide.
Yeah, you mentioned Aquino, 23 in white. I've watched him on film. This is the first time I've seen him live. He is big, 6'4", and he is bigger in person than he looks on tape.
Strong drive and put away. That's Matt Trainer.
Penn State showing some aggressiveness off of the end line on restarts. We saw Kyle Lehman a couple minutes ago, thwarted by Bobby Van Buren. This time, number 22 in white, Matt Trainer, is going to take it, and he is going to jet to the cage. And whatever rust he had in the early stages of this game has been knocked off. Beautiful front the year. A huge reason the Scarlet Knights scored their biggest win of the season yesterday against Johns Hopkins. This is a goalie-rich conference. Then you got Hunter Taylor from Michigan. You've got Frassian from Penn State. This is a terrific conference for netminders in 2025.
Johnny Cool will hand it off here, Mark. Playing catch with Ryan Donnery. Haas on the way to the cage. Just over 4 minutes remaining. Opening frame, Penn State on the lead by 2. Marinier leading the conference in goals. Outstanding shooter. Picked up on the outside by Kevin Parnham. Leadership qualities through the roof for Parnham. He gets the difficult assignment on Marinier. O'Leary kicks it back behind.
Parnham also wearing that coveted number 16 jersey here, honoring Connor Darcy, given to the senior leader of each Penn State team year in, year out.
They refer to it as the heart of a competitor jersey. The late Connor Darcy. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah, very hard to believe.
Since he's passed away in an auto accident. Frassian guarding the cage for the Nittany Lions in expert fashion. Big Ten netminder specialist of the year. All-America candidate. John King, short stick defensive midfielder, one of 4 we expect to see from Penn State. Ohio State may go as many as 6 deep at the shorty spot. We leak below 3 minutes to play in this opening frame.
Such a challenging position, playing short stick defensive midfield at this level. You are always getting picked on. You are always who the offense attacks. And it just really behooves you to have at least 4, if not more, shorties.
Here's Traynor against the shorty island. Nick Myers told us that captain Greg Langermeyer, his top short stick D-mid was a question mark, but he's out there now. This one is slipped high and wide on the short side. Still 22 seconds to shoot. Amon, 55 in the white, has been very solid coming in from Rutgers. Long off the sweep. Amon brings it back. Wallstrom playing a 2-man game. Island right there attached to the hip. Fall away bouncer wide of Fayok. Fayok's improved his passing game, his clearing game much better, and good evidence of it right there as he finds Langermeyer to clear.
Good job for Ohio State. Penn State in that sequence, no one could win a matchup. Island played great, Van Buren played great, and now it's a matter of Ohio State now stringing some scores together to minimize this lead for Penn State.
Island carrying it at the offensive end against Ethan Long. Bouncer fought off by Frassian in the waning stages of this opening quarter.
I don't mind the take by Island because he had Ethan Long, an offensive mid. He's stuck, and Island has offensive skills. But again, Ohio State settling for those long-distance shots, really not being very invasive of this Penn State defense so far.
I checked the resume for Island. He has a hat trick against Notre Dame on his resume.
He can two-way it, no question. And Bobby Van Buren, he's a third-degree black belt in karate. Talking with him on the D-Fly Dixie podcast this week, he said the one cat he would never, ever think about messing with, number 34 in the scarlet and gray.
Very quiet demeanor, they say, but he's nails tough. Hesitation, move to the interior. Hobbs on the go from Peden. Rips that one off of Fayok. Big rebound. Rolled out towards midfield. They scramble for it. Good scoop. In transition, the pass towards the crease, knocked down. Frassian gets out there to help his defenders. In the final 4 seconds, heave-ho the length of the field. And the opening frame is done at Panzer Stadium with the Nittany Lions treating the home fans to the 3-1 lead.
I tell you what, business definitely picked up in that last 20-25 seconds. Ohio State very physical with Penn State on their defensive end. The crowd is now into it. The teams have got 15 minutes under their belt, and away we go.
Coach Tambroni brings him in. We're done with one. As expected, these two teams threatening the nets routinely. Good to see Traynor back in there and Mayer stinging a corner on Big Ten Network. Lacrosse fans, on Saturday, don't miss a spectacular men's lacrosse doubleheader. First up, Nittany Lions with Maryland, previously top-ranked. Then 11th ranked Johns Hopkins will battle Michigan. Live coverage beginning noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Mark, Jeff Tambroni's squad, both of these teams, in fact, playing their first night game of the season. He was hoping that it would bring some extra added excitement. Yeah,
and I think it has. The crowd was a little bit cerebral in that first quarter, but the physicality and the intensity really ratcheted up. And you can see the intensity on Jeff Tambroni's face. He's an incredible collegiate player at Hobart. He's done a wonderful job at Cornell, now the head man at Penn State. And I mean, you want to talk about two intense guys. Nick Myers on the Ohio State bench, Jeff Tambroni on the Penn State sideline. This is going to be a whale of a game to begin with, and now the intensity is that much more.
Baldwin with a nice job to win the faceoff, an even better scoop on the ground ball to get possession for Penn State here at home in the white jerseys. Coach Tambroni was talking about having a few extra days to get ready for not only the Big Ten Conference opener, but the entire Big Ten Conference. He says if you're not working every day against the other teams in this group, you're going to fall behind.
This is the time of year where every team in college lacrosse is banged up. They're feeling it. So to give themselves that breather in the schedule was beneficial, I think, to get them a little healthier.
Good look inside, rip and score! Wallstrom with a BB.
Wallstrom moving back from attack into the midfield, not a problem. This is actually scored from the attack position as he comes in the second quarter to spell trainer a little bit. Ethan Long has been putting together a couple really solid weeks, of lacrosse. He scored the game winner in overtime against Cornell. He had 4 goals against Robert Morris. Watch him look off the defense, and then Wallstrom slips into an open section of the field to catch, turn, and fire. That was a bullet pass fire.
He's up to 10 tallies on the season. He tied a career high with the 3 goals and 2 assists against Robert Morris last time out. He already has 3 now, 2-goal games this season. On the far sideline, this ball rolls out of bounds. It'll be possession for Ohio State. Coach Myers' squad, as he barks out the instructions, gets back to work at the offensive end. Seeing if they can go through a pretty deliberate set here. Generate a high-quality chance.
Yeah, if you're Ohio State, you got to get something cooking. You're not in danger zone time just yet, but this team really not built for large comebacks. They can come back, but they're not built that way.
McGee on the go, lets it fly. That was blocked. Ball down on the end line. They joust for it, and it'll stay Buckeye possession.
Yeah, I thought that defensive sequence at the end of the first quarter could put some wind in the sails of Ohio State, but that Wallstrom goal quelled that. Now it's time for them to get it back on the offense.
McKenna to McGee, then Marinier on the wing. We haven't seen Alex Marinier uncork one of those bullet-like shots. There's a flag down, first extra man on the night, soon to come for Ohio State.
That one will leave a mark. Parnham delivered a slap check, and we'll watch the replay. I have to assume it got the Ohio State player somewhere it shouldn't have.
Jeffrey Hoffman informing us of the call.
Yeah, that's right across the chest. That's a good call by the official. Parnham sent that one. I know Jeff Tambroni doesn't like it, but if it was the other way around, I think he'd appreciate that flag.
Extra man opportunity for the Buckeyes. They work quickly here. Sprinkle it on around for Griffin Turner. He'll operate from the top, exchanging with Sheehan. Hatchet work coming from the outside in Alex Ross. Change the formation. Marinier. Move it quickly for Turner. All on the exterior for the Buckeyes. Change the formation again. Rotate, Turner. The pass for Marinier, deflected. Well done there by Ross. Continuing to show his brilliance at the defensive end. Unsettled to the crease. Score! Garrett Haas.
Huge goal for Ohio State as referee Matt Palin getting in the face of the Penn State defense. Get them the what's what. Penn State benefited from a goal off of a tenacious ride in the first quarter, and now Ohio State returns the favor. The great knockdown by Ross, but look at the Buckeyes get after this thing. And what Jeff Tambroni is saying is that the Penn State player, his stick was held. Number 31 in white is saying that his stick was held, Patrick Keenan, and that allowed Ohio State to win the man ball battle, and they take full advantage, getting it down low to Haas, number 2, who dunks it home.
Penn State doubling up Ohio State. Garrett Haas, the second leading goal scorer and point producer for the Buckeyes, who get possession again, get right back to work at the offensive end. 3 minutes into the second quarter. Haas with a fast first step, just trimmed that one too fine. Backed up on the sideline by the face-off man, Jack Oldman.
Joe, that's a move we're seeing more and more in college lacrosse, is offensive players clamping that arm down on the defender's stick in a ground ball or a takeaway situation. Ohio State got away with one right there, and that benefits them getting a huge goal getting back in this game.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Hey, you know, the referee's got to pick it up. They got to call it.
From the top, Matthews. Badgered there on the perimeter. Keep it hot. That pass to the interior is knocked down. Well done there by the Nittany Lions, and a turnover. Costin on the wrong page with Frasian, and it turns out to be a layup.
What a check from number 8 in red, Shane O'Leary. Just perfect on the bottom of the stick of the 70 inches of titanium of the Penn State defense. We're going to take a look at Garrett Haas. He's behind the cage. This ball squirts out. Look at O'Leary. Look at that check. It just pops the ball out right there. Boom. And Garrett Haas, Johnny on the spot. Frasian vacated the goal to help his defender out with the clear attempt, but that beautiful check from O'Leary ejects the ball into Haas's cross, and he finishes.
Second tally on the night. Goals in 8 of 9 for Haas, and the Buckeyes are rolling now. Back to within 1 and with another possession. Sheehan will distribute. Working on the outside to invert for Mayer. The midfielder going below goal line against Aldridge. Swim move from Mayer, who tallied in the opening quarter tonight. Fine pass there and a submarine shot that sails high. On the end, it was McKenna winning the backup for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, we talked about Penn State dominating 4-1 after scoring the first tally of the second quarter, and Ohio State needed an answer. They have done so, and now momentum has shifted to the Buckeye side.
McKenna playing a little game of one-on-one. Number 1 is Griffin Turner. Tangling with Ryan O'Connor, the long stick midfielder. Mayer off the roll dodge to a better shooting lane against Aldridge. Gets underneath, fires and scores. Mayer ties it at 4.
The Buckeyes are rolling heavy. Juice goal off of the ride that got them their second score has now been punctuated by their 3rd in a row, and all Jeff Tambroni can do is shake his head. We talk about Jack Frasian being unorthodox, and this is where that style comes to bite him a little bit. Nothing fancy. All you got to do here really is hug the pipe. This is a low-angle shot by number 4 in red, Mayer. And here you just hug the pipe, get your stick up. Don't give him anything to shoot at. You got to save. But there he moves his stick. Windshield wipes and gets burned.
Mayer had 2 tallies in the season opening loss against Utah. 2 again last time out against Denver. He's got 2 today, same for Garrett Haas. It's a 4-4 game, and Nick Myers was talking about if you're going to beat Penn State, you're going to need double figures in goals. He set that as one of the mission statements for his squad in this one, this Sunday night here at Panzer.
Big time. And you got to figure out ways to score goals in different fashions. And Ohio State's done it. They've done it off the ride. They've done it on the EMO. They've done it fortuitously. Done it one-on-one dodging. And they're starting to win faceoffs as well, Joe. They've won the last 4 faceoffs to get possession.
Possession after possession. King comes up with the ball, the short stick defensive midfielder for Penn State. He's running for cover now. Frassian will help him on this clearing effort as we approach the 6-minute mark of the second quarter.
It's been a minute since Penn State's been on offense.
And they don't have it for long.
Yeah, that's not going to get the job done.
Slithering back through the midfield. This pass just a bit too tall over the head of Haas from Liam White.
This is the stage of the game where if you're Penn State, you kind of have to check your emotions. You have the home field, you've got the crowd. We can see the student section filling in on the far side behind the Ohio State bench. Just settle down, get back to fundamentals, get back to execution.
Some extra panzermonium. 8:50 remaining in this first half of play. Penn State jumped out to the 4-1 lead. Ohio State has each of the last 3 markers to equalize. Long off the sweep. He'll share for Amon. Langermeyer has him hedging to the top side. Trainer picked up by Cullen Brown, another defender that Nick Myers was praising during our conversations this week. Wallstrom looking for the first half hat trick. Getting downhill there on Foster. Skip it through. Lehman over the top. Fayak with a stop there. This one rebounds out of play. Closest to the ball, where and when on that missed shot. Retains possession. That's Matt Trainer.
Yeah, Fayak using his body to make that stop. He read it, fought it off, but Penn State does well to run it out, get possession back, and a reset of the shot clock.
Ethan Long's turn to move against Blake Island in this 4-4 game. Aquino, then Amon. Off of a screen, gets the pick, rips that one as Fayak shuffled over. It ricochets out of bounds, it stays with Penn State.
Yeah, I love the pick game up top. That freed up Amon. He had some real estate to work with, but again, Fayak able to shrug that shot off.
Lehman against Van Buren. One of the marquee matchups in this one tonight. Lehman serves to Aquino, and then this way for Amon into the alley, bouncer, and again Fayak right on the angle, rebounds loose, and it's scooped up neatly by Cullen Brown.
A good goaltending by Fayak. It looked like a player might have been hit. Watch out.
Aquino throws a huge hit on Island, and this one just sent wide of the cage. It'll be Ohio State ball.
Good job by Aquino. He actually held up a little bit, and that was smart because he didn't light up Island, which probably would have resulted in a flag. Instead, it creates a turnover and just a mishandle for Penn State.
Jeff Tambroni says of Hunter Aquino, such a laid-back personality. Got a little aggressive there.
Big time, yeah.
6:40 remaining in this first half of play. As expected, a real good game, a top 10 matchup between Ohio State and Penn State. The Big Ten Conference opener for each squad.
It's delivering everything we thought it would, Joe. Intensity, physicality, emotion, and atmosphere.
Marinier waiting in the alley. Play it up top. Sheehan comes to get it. Turner moves it. That pass was low for Haas, already a 2-goal scorer in this first half. 25 seconds to shoot. McKenna. Off this dodge, feed, fire, and score! The big gunner, Marinier.
Things getting a little chippy after that last goal. Marinier, the outstanding shooter for Ohio State. Penn State slipped into a zone. They've been playing a pseudo zone for the majority of this game, but this was a straight zone. And it's just ball movement. Getting the rotation, getting it to the weak side, and Marinier is just gonna step in with time, space, delivers the worm burner past Frasian.
Severe heat. Boys and girls, on Saturday you can stream men's lacrosse live on Big Ten Plus. These Buckeyes hosting Rutgers, one of the thousands of non-televised live events across the Big Ten that you can stream this season. Subscribe right now at BigTenPlus.com. Mark Dixon, Caleb Byock has held Penn State dry for more than 8 minutes with some sharp-looking stops.
We saw him in the first quarter give up some rebounds and some unfortunate goals. Here in the second quarter, Big Tasty, listed at 6'2", 297 pounds of Buckeye between the 6x6. He has played a terrific game up to this point, making Penn State work for everything that they get.
Buckeyes on a 4-0 run since the 2:45 mark of the second. Control here and a snapshot that sails wide from the faceoff man Jack Oldman. Oldman has 3 goals by my count this season as he races off to the sideline. Had an 11 ground ball game against Notre Dame.
That was a win that not many people saw coming. You know, Notre Dame at home, coming off of a tough loss to Maryland at a neutral site in Atlanta. And Ohio State went into Arlotta and sprung that upset, keeping that win streak going.
Nick Myers, the head coach of the Buckeyes, kiddingly said that should have been worth 2 wins.
He's not wrong.
This pass deflected and intercepted. Taken away and on the run. Luca DiBartolomeo, freshman long stick midfielder, made the intercept and gets the guys in white an offensive possession.
Yeah, they need to rediscover their mojo. They need a play, Penn State, that is, they need a goal. And once they get that, I think they're going to feel a lot better, feel more comfortable, because right now they're on their heels a little bit.
That's Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. We shout out thanks for all the men and women in our technical crew here in University Park, PA, and back in our studios in Chicago. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Our first Sunday night showdown of the season. Aquino fidgets in against Johnny Cool. Quick stick to the interior, ball down. Still possession for the Nittany Lions and 23 seconds to shoot.
Timing looks a little off, especially with those feeds inside, and that's not uncommon when you have 2 guys that have missed some time over the last couple weeks.
Trainer drawing a double there. Sends it high and the ball belongs to the Buckeyes. Time's a-wasting in this opening half. 4 minutes left in the second quarter. It was Penn State early. It's been Ohio State most recently. McKenna, another successful clear. Buckeyes have a very high success ratio on clearing this season to the tune of an 8-1 mark. 9th ranked in the land. Penn State began as a number 4 ranking. Winners of 4 straight. Mayer on the swim. He's already got 2 today. McKenna drawing a lot of help. And it's in the cross of Frasian. Counterattack time for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, Penn State ran an inverted zone where the 2 short sticks were down low on the pipes.
Aldridge spinning back, he scores! The defensive midfielder goes very offensive.
Terrific defensive stand for Penn State. They threw a little bit of a wrinkle into the zone. They took their poles and put them up top. Then they put their shorties down low. We ran this at Hopkins 30 years ago. We called it black. And they're down low. And here we go on the clear. Look at Aldridge. Kind of cruising along, soaks the check, recognizes numbers, but does a great job of rolling back. And I think he caught Caleb Viak a little off guard. As an offensive midfielder, you think you're going to turn that thing back and then just cycle it behind the cage. Aldridge sets his feet, lets it whip, and finds the back of the net.
Scoring this time late in the second quarter. You see the end of the drought for Penn State. Aldridge scored 13 seconds into the game against Robert Morris. This one makes it a 5-5 draw with 2:45 to go in the half and a timeout called. Talking about these two teams in a top 10 ranking and a top 10 matchup. Mark, have a peek at what's been happening with the top 10.
Wow. When I get back to the hotel tonight, Joe, I've got my work cut out for me doing my top 20 for this week. But let's take a look. Topsy-turvy. Maryland upset by Michigan. Army falls to the Terriers of Boston University. Duke handled by Denver yesterday. It's just this time of year when you look at the competition, the level of play, and it's just so fun to be a part of it. We're going to have a new number one. Well, who will it be? Will it be Cornell ascending to the top spot? Or if Penn State can knock off the Buckeyes, do they go to the top spot? Or will it be North Carolina? Just an incredible place we're in with the game. This post-COVID, new players, new faces, new names being talked about on a weekly basis.
That Michigan Wolverine win in triple overtime, the first time the Wolverines have ever beaten a top-ranked team. They knock off the Terps in College Park. Ryan Cohen had 4 points in that one, including the 100th goal of his career. Nick Myers, center of the screen, chatting with his mates. Myers, this squad, very athletic in his estimation, and especially so in Jeff Tambroni. It was the first word that came out of the Penn State coach's mouth. When we said, what do you see when you see Ohio State? He said, athleticism.
And I had the opportunity to see Ohio State play in the fall, and their athleticism, especially on the offensive end of the field. Ohio State is a program really known for and built on defense, but to see the offense have more pep in their step, more pop in their game, very impressive.
Both coaches thrilled with what they've seen from their Big Ten brethren as well. They both said it's a race to get better in this conference, or you get left behind. Marinier held a 1 goal so far against the defensive Parnham. He gets in there with that stick underneath there. A good slap check from Kevin Parnham, the captain, on the back end for the Nittany Lions. Turner gets into the alley. Sprinkles this one that's picked off. Ross anticipated it well, then he gave it up. Unsettled to the slot area. Frassian made the denial.
Wow. You want action? We got action Sunday night on the Big Ten Network. How about the soft hands of Alex Ross? We've seen him a couple times. Opening sequence, coming down with the long pole, taking a shot. That time picking it off. Beautiful handiwork by number 6 in white. And
then Frassian, Rob Donnery, to get his guys the ball back at the tail end of this opening half. 1:35 left to play in it. Aquino sends it out there for Will Peden. Peden, 4 goals to this point in the season, all of them at even strength. 12 in the white. Sidestepping Island. Throws back. Langermeyer there defensively. against Trainer. Fayak waiting in the crease, ball down. Out and in. They're going to give possession to Penn State.
Great job. Again, another rebound by Fayak, and the danger there is Van Buren gobbles it up. He's right in front of the crease, and a heady play by the Penn State attack to put him back in the cylinder to get the in and out call and a turnover back to their possession.
In the 5-5 draw, we've had a lot of plays get helter-skelter. How about this one?
Soft hands by Ross, and then look at Haas. Takes it away, doorstep, no thank you. Denied by Frasian. Incredible sequence. I mean, you had everybody jumping, slapping, doing whatever they could to prevent that shot, but what you gotta love about Jack Frasian is he was locked into that save, and he's pumping himself up. He knows that he just stole one for his ball club.
Coach Tambroni, speaking of the netminder Frasian, named a captain this season, and a lot of what Frasian does may be understated and behind the scenes, and it felt like Jack needed to be more vocal, but that wouldn't have been himself. Tambroni says he's really acclimated nicely to the captain's responsibilities.
It takes all kinds. Leadership comes in different forms, and Frasian speaks with his play more than his words. He's been good tonight. Listen, he struggled as well. I mean, he only made 4 saves in that epic overtime victory Penn State had over Cornell a couple of weeks ago. But that is as big as anyone that he just stopped to keep this level at 5-all. Not only that, you get it from defense to offense, and now your team has the opportunity to take the lead before the halftime intermission.
They want Frasian to just continue to be himself, do what he does, and help defensive coach Joe Bucci and the Nittany Lion defensive system solve the enemy attackers. Already faced a dozen shots in this game. A season ago, it was Frasian averaging about 14 stops per contest. That led the Big Ten. 48 seconds left in the half. Penn State can take this final possession all the way down.
It looks like they are playing for the last shot. Amon is going to be the party starter. We'll see where he gets the ball and where Penn State's offense under the tutelage of John Haas is looking to get the shot.
The hard-working Greg Langermeyer on him, the short-stick defensive midfield captain for the Buckeyes. They rotate around and fire. Fayak with a stop there. Trainer gets his own rebound. Hard shooting attackman. Get a whistle and another timeout call.
You can't take them with you. So with just over 8 seconds left, Dave Tambroni knows that he can set something up, a quick strike. On that possession, you could see Amon looking across the field. And then when he banged it backside, a lot of cutting action. And it was to the weak side, a good opportunity. Another nice save by Fayak, but the one thing, and this is Tasty's game, he just gives up a ton of rebounds, which leads to second chance possessions, if not putback goals. And right now, Penn State with only 8 seconds to work with, but they'd rather have it on the offensive end than having to scamper back to play defense against Ohio State.
So many lacrosse fans remark about how the goalies have to have soft hands. The ball is traveling upwards of 90 miles an hour, and they're able to reject it and keep it in the cross sticky, as opposed to giving those second chances. It's an acquired taste, though. It takes time to learn that skill, and I'm sure he'll get it before too long.
Oh, absolutely. And in this day and age, with the stick technology and the training and the shooting and just the sheer power of these athletes, it's more of a shooter's game than ever. So anytime you have a goaltender over 50%, that's pretty darn good. When you've got a guy over 60, which Caleb Fayak is, that's even more impressive.
So set it up for us, Mark. In the final 9 seconds, what should we see here offensively from Penn State?
It's going to be a quick dodge, probably a seal pick, and a hit on the backside for a shot.
That's literally what just happened. You were in the huddle, weren't you? Lehman, jump shot, just sent it wide. Fayak will run it down on the end line. He wants some time back on the clock. Well, we hear the horn ending the opening 30 minutes.
We're all level. Let's take a look. Good defense by Ohio State. And good job getting in the hands. But Lehman did get a clean look right there. Just couldn't put it on the 6x6. So Ohio State dodges a bullet somewhat with that errant shot from Kyle Lehman.
Lehman, who has multi-goal games in 4 of his first 5, not on the board just yet. We're tied up at 5 apiece. Jeff Tambroni is joining us after 2 quarters of play here on home turf. Coach, from your perspective, the back and forth, the give and take, how would you review that opening 30 minutes?
I mean, it's a classic Big Ten affair between Penn State and Ohio State. I think both teams are battling their hearts out. Both goalies are playing really well, and both teams have capitalized on some rebounds and some loose ball situations that I think we both like to have back. But in the end, it's 2 really good teams competing and playing their hearts out. So fun game to be a part of.
Coach, what an atmosphere here at Panzer. The execution part, that's a big part, but the emotion part of this game, how do you manage and help your players manage that emotion?
You hope it helps. We talked to the guys in the locker room to make sure that they were prepared for it. Friday night or Sunday night at Panzer under the lights. It's certainly we want them to think about what happens in between the lines. So just try to replicate what we do in practice every single day and enjoy the atmosphere. We don't want it to push it out altogether because it's an honor to be down here and it's an honor to be with this group. So hopefully they're enjoying it as well, and hopefully we can take advantage of the next 30 minutes.
Coach, we appreciate the thoughts. Thanks very much.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Jeff Tambroni, Penn State Nittany Lions, all level after 2 quarters of play. Give and take, back and forth, high-scoring fun on Big Ten Network. Lacrosse fans at Panzer Stadium have been treated to a really good game. A top 10 matchup between Ohio State and Penn State that's been on the teeter-totter. Penn State early, Ohio State more recently, and we are deadlocked after 30 minutes of play. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you on Big Ten Network, and we anticipated that this would be tight. Nothing that's happened in the first 2 quarters gives us any other indication.
No, and what an atmosphere here. It's a packed house, Sunday night on the Big Ten Network under the lights. These teams are giving us everything that we thought they would. Physicality, good goaltending, intensity, 30 minutes. Who can manage the emotion and then elevate the execution in the second half will walk away the winner.
Heavyweights have to give and take a punch. Ohio State took one early and then responded with a big rally.
They really did, and it's all about juice plays and emotion. And Ohio State got that. After a thwarted scoring attempt, they ride it back, a dunk, and then they started winning faceoffs. And then they started getting physical. And then the chips started to fall. You have to love Mayer, Haas, basically taking advantage of situations. And Marinier, you got to invite him to the party if you want to get in the score sheet.
Their golden gunner gets on the score sheet in that second quarter. We are 5-5 after 2 quarters of play. We'll share some numbers with you on the other side of the break. So here are the stats after 2 quarters of play. And the old goalie in me, underline old, really likes the save total already for Jack Frassian and Caleb Fayak. Both of those guys standing tall, keeping this a relatively low-scoring game. 5-5 and headed for the 3rd quarter. .5 lacrosse game, Ohio State, Penn State with their Big Ten conference opener. University Park, PA, Panzer Stadium, the venue, as we welcome in Ohio State head coach Nick Myers. Nick, you tell us that you build every Buckeye lacrosse team around the defense. How did you rate their performance in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're playing a great team in Penn State, so credit them. 2 rebound goals in the first quarter was a little clunky. I really thought getting control of the face-off X and having a great second quarter there really got us in rhythm offensively and allowed our defense to settle in. So we got to get out of the gates here in the third quarter and really try to win these first 5-6 minutes.
Coach, offensively, what's clicking and what needs to continue in the second half?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, man. There's been some moments of rhythm. I think we turned it over 3 of the last 4 possessions, and so it's ball security. We got to do a little bit better job playing deeper, getting the ball swinging from side to side. And when we do that, I feel like there's a couple gaps that we can maybe take advantage of.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Nick Myers sending Caleb Bayon back out to the cage. He and Jack Frassian both on the hot seat quite a bit in that first half of play. At the face-off dot, it's been a good battle between Oldman and Baldwin. Jack Oldman, 56% on the season, coming on strong in that second quarter. Colby Baldwin, 61%, and it was Jeff Tambroni who said Baldwin has made the biggest improvement of any of the players on his squad this season, from this season to last.
He's really stepped up his game, giving them a warrior at the face-off dot. Ohio State's thrown a couple different guys at him to try to mess up his rhythm, and that worked. They have the first half advantage in face-offs 8-4, and as Coach Myers said, the more touches his offense gets, the more rhythm they can establish.
Griffin Turner has the rock for the Buckeyes. Ohio State, a mark of 8-1. They're in the scarlet and gray. Penn State here at home in the all-white. Getting underneath. Score! On the run, Shane O'Leary.
O'Leary will not be credited with an assist when he took the ball out of the stick of a Penn State defender, but he gets a point on a beautiful individual effort. He's just going to recognize the opportunity to gain some leverage. And you can see that Penn State defense packing it in, but they come out of the zone. And this is an opportunity to dodge. And he just gets leverage and is able to get underneath. Comes back top side, a little bit miscommunication maybe. And O'Leary benefits.
O'Leary with a 5-game goal-scoring streak. Bags his 12th on the campaign. Oldman gets the draw and goes right to the cooker. That pass, however, low and outside. It's a turnover, trying to find Marinier. As usual at this time of the year, coaches are always worried about their teams being mistake-prone. Everybody wants to cut down on turnovers, earn more possessions, make more stops, and win more face-offs. Ball given back to Ohio State. Second time they've been in the lead in this game. Marinier gave them a 5-4 advantage in the second quarter. O'Leary, 6-5 now, right off the jump in the second half.
And Penn State defensively, I'm interested to see how they settle in here. Now going back to man, they've thrown a couple of different looks at Ohio State. And that man, after coming out of the zone, which they played most of the second quarter, a little rusty right there. We'll see how they respond.
King defending on McKenna, skip it on through to Mayer. Off the split dodge, he'll draw some help. Gets away from Costin. Buckeyes will circle it up. 40 seconds left on the shot clock. Gannon Matthews on the go. Matthews working goal line extended away from Leary. One more time through the cycle. Bad angle bid off the outside of the post.
You got to love how Ohio State is attacking, and they are shooting with authority. I think Frassian may have gotten a piece of that, and then it kissed off that far pipe, but you can see the confidence level. That first goal was huge for the confidence level of this Ohio State Buckeye team here in the second half.
McKenna dragging Leary back behind the cage. Looking to pass over the top, beautifully done! And it's stashed home by Ryan Donnery.
Mental mistake gives Ohio State a second chance possession. You count forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We see you on the far side. 7 in the offensive zone, creates the offsides. Officials pick it up. And right now it's just disorganization for this Ohio State, or for this Penn State defense. Player slips in wide open. Donnery is able to hammer it home. And I think we saw why Penn State went into that zone, Joe, earlier in the game. It'll be interesting to see what Joe Bucci comes up with.
6 of the last 7 goals belonging to Ohio State, and Oldman does it again at the faceoff dot with a win. Buckeyes with the ball, making fast work of the offense here to start the second half. Haas will share it with Shane O'Leary, the Massachusetts native, a transfer after 4 seasons from UMass. This down under shot, there's a whistle, moving pick.
Yep, illegal screen. That's a break for Penn State. This defense needs a rest. They have been playing 3 straight minutes on their heels. Opportunity for them to get a touch, get an offensive possession, and try to get back in this game.
It's been mentioned a lot for Ohio State, highly publicized how well they've done in the transfer portal, bringing guys in and meshing and getting them to click quickly.
But this is an Ohio State team that's had a rough couple of years. The Big Ten tournament was in Columbus last year, and they were not part of it. And that was not fun for Nick Myers and his team to watch other teams participate on their field for the Big Ten title. And then you lose the season opener to Utah, the pitchforks are out. You know, Nick Myers taking a lot of heat. They've just reeled up 8 consecutive wins, and they continue to play at a high level here tonight.
Myers said his team really took a mature attitude to that early season loss. And what may have rocked other programs just inspired this one. Long sidewinder, snapped up beautifully by Fyock. The outlet is right on the button to Johnny Cool. Here they come in transition. Brown for Cool, fires a bouncer over top of Frassian and wide.
Johnny Cool, number 20 in red. Arguably the best name in college lacrosse, Joe.
I love it. I do love it. I can't tell a lie. Johnny Cool, who plays with so much speed and energy at his long stick midfield spot. Spent a lot of time in the weight room in the off season. Gets the Buckeyes the ball back. They've dominated possession in this early third quarter. King digging in defensively on McKenna. Marinier looks this way for Matthews. Hesitates, fidgets loose on Leary. Here comes the help. McKenna looking over the top. Donnery fires, he scores! Ryan Donnery.
All Ohio State, their 3rd consecutive tally to begin this 3rd frame of action. And they are taking that they've given up in the last 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And Penn State needs to figure this out in a hurry.
Donnery, who scored 11 seconds into the Denver game last week, has given Ohio State its largest lead on the night. Back to that women's game, I know everybody's looking forward to seeing Northwestern's Madison Taylor, almost 50 goals already.
She left their game last night against Maryland, a 16-4 win with an apparent injury.
Oh, no.
Lower body, so we're keeping our fingers crossed for the health of Taylor. But either way, when you look at the women's game, Northwestern, along with North Carolina, and some say Boston College, those 3 have really kind of separated themselves at this point in the season. And the Tar Heels coming into Evanston, that is must-see TV.
Ashley and Chloe Humphrey for North Carolina. Ashley's the feeder, Chloe's the finisher. Great women's action coming up on Thursday. This is the Big Ten men's lacrosse opener for Ohio State and Penn State. Buckeyes have turned the tune to this game very much to their liking after falling behind 4-1. If you haven't been with us all the way this Sunday night on Big Ten Network, Buckeyes in the scarlet. Perimeter shot, bullseye! A howitzer from Marinier.
This is what Marinier does. What if I told you that number 5 in the scarlet and gray used to play defense? I don't think anyone would believe me. Not with a shooting stroke this smooth. Once again, ball movement. Penn State back in the zone, packing it in. And Marinier with time, space, and he just rattles this one past Frassione. That is a gorgeous shot.
Lethal. Tallies in 9 of 10. Was blanked by Virginia earlier this season. Showing some high heat to Frassione there. And the marvelous run for Ohio State continues. They've scored 8 of the last 9 goals. And more possession time for Donnery and his mates, thanks to 17 in the Scarlet. Jack Ullman, who sprints off after winning a draw.
Yeah, and a nice takeaway check by Ryan O'Connor. I thought Penn State would be able to get possession, but you gotta really tip your cap to the scrappiness and the grit of this Ohio State team. They are right now clicking on all cylinders and dominating this contest.
They've won 8 straight. Penn State's won 4 in a row. 2 hot teams meeting. There's a mistake for the Buckeyes, rare in this second half especially. Mark, you referenced it. They won their Big Ten Conference opener a season ago against Rutgers, did Ohio State. Then they lost their last 4 conference games, trying to snap that streak on the road, and they've been impressive. After their first 7 were at home, battle-tested on the road at Notre Dame and in Denver.
Without question, and that win against Denver, the first time they've won in the state of Colorado at the University of Denver in over a decade. And that was a game where Nick Myers told us his defense didn't play great. The offense showed up and bailed them out. Well, they've continued their hot hand here tonight, put up 9 so far in this contest.
Had to go back to 2009 to find the last time the Buckeyes beat the Pioneers, former conference rivals, in fact, right? The Great Western Lacrosse League.
Oh my God, there were some battles back in the day.
Aquino, the freshman, getting used to the Big Ten play now. Ball down, wild scramble for it. Still down on the turf, multiple flags fly. Pass to the inside, Aquino is still wrapped up. Penn State gets possession with Traynor.
Great ride back. You take the ball away from Ohio State's alpha. Not only do you get another possession with the scrappiness on the ground ball, but you draw the penalty flag, so this is a free take for this Penn State offense.
Hobbs on the go, send it back for Lehman. Lehman ramming into the defense of Cullen Brown. He has the defender hung up, looking over top of the cage, waiting for a cutter. He'll call his own number. Share the ball on a low pass to Peden. Ball down, it'll roll out of bounds. Extra man time coming up for Penn State.
I think we're going to have a push, but the referees are going to confer to make sure that they both, so I think all 3 of the officials threw a flag, so they want to make sure they're on the same page with the proper call. So it's going to be a trip against Ohio State. So this is a golden opportunity for the Nittany Lions. They will have the man advantage for up to 1 minute.
Nittany Lions smacked Robert Morris 22-8, most goals they put up in a game this season. They were 0 for 1 on the extra man. They are the Big Ten Conference's leader when it comes to extra man offense efficiency at 46%. Haven't had many shots in this quarter. Ohio State's had the lion's share of the possession, no pun intended. Skip it over the top. A whistling drive from Amon. Rebels around and out. They were celebrating. The Nittany Lions thought it was in.
Review is in play, so we'll see if Jeff Tambroni gets a look on his iPad at that and maybe throws the challenge flag. I don't see anything up to this point.
A whistling shot from Amon. We have a feeling that's going to be reviewed.
Tambroni has thrown the challenge flag.
Yep.
He's got it.
The players always know, and they were 2 or 3 Nittany Lions who had arms raised as soon as that one rattled around the crossbar and pipe. And there's the challenge flag.
Jeff Tambroni had 30 seconds to make that decision and challenge. He throws the laundry, and we'll see. We'll take a look up here in the booth, and we're really looking at the same thing that the officials down on the field are viewing as well.
5 minutes and 49 seconds to go in what has been a profitable third quarter for Ohio State. Here's the review.
The entire ball has to cross the goal line, and it does. That is clearly a goal.
Off of Fayak, off of the top of the meshing and down, and you can see the ball land and backspin out. That should be a marker for Jack Amon, who had 20 of them a season ago with Rutgers.
That is going to be a huge lift for this Penn State team. And you got to love video replay. I've been calling for it for years. I think the Rules Committee did an awesome job in conjunction with NILOA, the National Organization of Officials, in getting review, and tip of the cap to the Big Ten Conference for having it available for situations like this. You just want the calls to be correct.
The officials tonight, Palin, McCall, and Hoffman, having a look at the tablet. See them peeking at replay looks.
So not only are they looking to make sure it's a good goal, which I have to imagine they're going to call it a good goal, but they also have the timing. The time has to be reset.
Caleb Fayak, the Ohio State netminder, dejectedly making his way back towards the cage. I think he knows that the proof's going to be in the pudding. Nick Myers encouraging the officials to, hey, let's get back at it. Could there be...
Well, wait a minute.
Could there be a no-goal call here? Were our eyes deceiving us?
Wow.
That ball looked like it was completely
clearly
across
over
and
the goal
back
line.
Am I seeing things on the back?
Let's take a look again. It kisses off the crossbar and just goes straight down.
But look where it is. It's a foot behind the goal.
Yeah,
on green turf.
Wow, that is astonishing.
That's where it's at.
Absolutely astonishing. This is unbelievable. This is really unbelievable.
That's an unfortunate call. And obviously Jeff Tambroni and his team would put it into much different words than that. That looked to be conclusive by every stretch.
I'm speechless. Wow.
Moving on, 9-5. With just a bit more than 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter, Buckeyes will slow tempo.
The uphill climb just became that much steeper for this Penn State ball club. They've got to find a way to dig deep and make up for this 4-goal deficit.
O'Leary against Leary. O'Leary for the Buckeyes. Plays it on for Matthews. Darting behind the cage. Off this face dodge. Parnham digging in. Rugged defense there. Forcing the turnover back to the Nittany Lions. Gliding back ahead, Kyle Aldridge, who scored in the second quarter tonight. Short stick defensive midfielder, bagging his second of the campaign.
And I don't want to bring up bad memories, but remember the national semifinals where Penn State lost? Where they didn't have video review? Wow.
Off the split, Trainer exchanging. Amon fires again. This one's too tall and a little bit wide. It sure looked as if Amon's drive wound up in the back across that goal line. The officials here, though, did not see it that way after the coach's challenge and video review. Long wheeling in, Nice pass to the inside. Matthews laced it high. Bring it back in. Off the end line with Lehman and Van Buren. A marquee matchup, offense against defense there. Amo with a good catch against Langermeyer. Wallstrom on the go. Bouncer is too tall. And on the backup, good work there on the end line for Kyle Foster to win it for Ohio State on a missed shot. Closest to the ball where and when it leaves the field gets possession.
A heady play by Foster, race to the end line to win possession.
Less than 4 minutes to go in quarter number 3. A 3-1 Penn State advantage after one. We were deadlocked at 5 apiece through 2 quarters. Ohio State very sharp in this third. Giving the ball back here though, Trainer. Inside score! Matthews!
Backs are against the wall. A goal that should have counted doesn't count. Penn State digs deep. Great ride, taking advantage of the errant pass. And you gotta use unsettled situations when your 6-on-6 just isn't clicking. And that's exactly what Penn State did. Unselfish, one more from Trainer, and the finish by Liam Matthews. Is this the goal that can spark a Nittany Lion comeback?
Liam Matthews, another fine talent from the Hill Academy north of the border. Penn State, first goal in a while. Matthews had the first goal of the night and the most recent for the Nittany Lions as Ohio State faceoff man Oldman continues to do his job very well.
Great job for Ohio State to win that next faceoff, but now you got Penn State all over the ball like a bunch of rabid dogs.
Sheehan came up with it for the team in the scarlet. From Columbus, Ohio, McKenna drifting below goal line extended. He's got King with him. McKenna turns, he scores! Jack McKenna.
The goal by Matthews, it's like the equivalent, we're in March Madness, it's the equivalent of a dunk in basketball. And what do you have to do to nip that in the bud? You got to hit your next shot. And that's what McKenna does. Face off one. McKenna sets up the dodge behind the cage. 6'6", pterodactyl-like arms. And he uses that length to give him what most ordinary humans do not get in that situation. That's a great angle.
You and I don't have that long stride.
You and I together, our
don't
arms
have that long
together
stride.
still would not match up.
Getting separation from John King. McKenna, you see his 6th goal of the season. He has a goal and 3 assists tonight to help fortify this Ohio State offense. They get into double figures. Coach Myers said that was a destination point for this team. If they were to take down Penn State, you figured they'd have to get beyond or 10 and beyond, and they're at 10 now and still with 2.5 to go in quarter 3.
Yeah, if you're Penn State, keep your emotions in check. You got to fight back. I mean, that is really disheartening that the goal wasn't granted, but now you have to move on. They did get that other score. They weren't able to stop Ohio State. Offensively, my question is, who's going to step up for this Nittany Lion team? They can come back. They scored 4 goals in less than 2.5 minutes to tie Cornell.
Long zipped it way wide. Coach Tambroni says he's rarely, if ever, seen a game like that one, the way that turned out. Penn State has won 8 of the last 9 meetings between themselves and Ohio State. This is all-time meeting number 29. Wallstrom turns on Foster. Off the question mark, Fayak made the save. First ever meeting between these two schools came back in 1979. Penn State's won the last 4 here against the Buckeyes. Buckeyes' last win in University Park came in March of 2015. Didn't get it across Turnover back to Penn State.
Failure to advance call. They didn't get over within the 20 seconds.
Final 80 seconds of quarter 3. Closing, long, fires, he scores! A rocket.
Another goal for Penn State off of a busted Buckeye clear. Nick Myers talked to us this week of how important it would be for them to get from defense to offense. And Penn State, look at the shot clock. That's what the referees look at. It hits 60. The appropriate call. Failure to advance. And this thing leaves a fire trail. Ethan Long just steps in and rips it past Caleb Viak to get Penn State back to within 3.
Long gets his first of the night. Trainer has a hat trick of assists. The deficit for the Nittany Lions on home turf is 3. Oldman beats Baldwin again at the dot. Baldwin, one of the more athletic players on this Penn State team in its entirety, tried to ride back there and make the steal. Instead, Ohio State can drain most of the remaining time on this third quarter on this trip. Ben Mayer with it. Brendan Leary to defend. As Frassian looks to his right. 37 seconds left. Last possession belongs to Ohio State if they choose. Mayer throwing a little jab step. Not interested in going to the goal just yet. .12 in the quarter. Mayer playing one-on-one against Leary. Fidgets to the lane. Help comes from Aldridge. Good defense there for the Nittany Lions. That pass off of the brain bucket of Barnum as the horn sounds, ending 3.
Big quarter for Ohio State. They came out on fire, made some plays, and go into the final 15 minutes with a 3-goal advantage.
In control on the road in the Big Ten Conference opener. Behind some stingy net minding from Caleb Viak. The Buckeyes shooting straight and celebrating an awful lot here in University Park, PA on Big Ten Network. Dividing the score up by quarter, you see Ohio State improving from first towards the fourth. Penn State at 7 goals, but Mark, they feel like they should have one more.
Big time. And I'm not sure what views. I was confident that officials get television views in a televised game. You have to imagine that the officiating crew just didn't see this angle. That's the only explanation that I can think of, because that was clearly a goal. And there you see the reaction of the Penn State bench. Jeff Tambroni, head coach. I don't get it, but like you said, we move on, we play on. You know, you hope review can, this is the hardest game to officiate, in my opinion, Joe. The only 3 guys out there covering 110 yards. All these athletes, big, fast, and strong. You need review. That was the argument in the Duke-Penn State national semifinal a couple years ago, that if we had review, we could have gotten it. Well, you have review and it's still wrong. I don't understand it.
At that time, it would have made the score 9-6 had that been ruled a goal. It's 10-7 for Ohio State. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you at Panzer Stadium. Chilly night, a Sunday night matchup. Temperatures in the low 40s when we began play. Amon finds the open man, fire and score! Ripped to the top shelf by Long. Back-to-back goals for him.
Just the start Penn State needed here in this fourth quarter. Keep the crowd in it. keep the wind in your sails, get some momentum back, because this Ohio State team is for real. Great job by Amon dragging down the near side, and then he's going to float the skip to the weak side. And I think we've seen you cannot give Ethan Long that kind of time and room, because if you do, turn and rink.
Jeff Tambroni giving associate head coach John Hawes a lot of credit for the strong offensive numbers from Penn State. Began the night as the #1 goals per game team in the conference. He called it about a mindset of collaboration, selflessness, that unselfish way, landing Long on the score sheet back-to-back and making it a 2-goal game.
And now Penn State wins the ensuing face-off, so now it's about stacking plays, stacking goals. This crowd is back into it. It's a great atmosphere here. This is where the emotion that we asked Jeff Tambroni about at halftime, they need to harness it and have it put wind in their sails.
Long has the hot stick right now. He'll find Aquino. Talented freshman, dazzling numbers at the start of his career. Angles in, whips that one wide. Able to create space there from his defender on the run. Averaging 3.7 points per game, Aquino headed into play. He was a bit of a question mark. Lehman gets going on Van Buren. Lehman top side, off the switch. Long, feeded interior, and it's snapped high by Amon.
You can see the confidence and the urgency with which Penn State is playing at this moment.
Wallstrom will bring it in off the end line. 12 seconds to shoot. Rammed there by Cullen Brown. Wallstrom playing a little hide and seek. Pass back deflected by Island. Amon not getting out of his cross. That's a shot clock violation against Penn State.
Good defense by Ohio State. You can see that they are shading towards Ethan Long when he is outside. They were able to get a body in front of him so he couldn't unleash another howitzer.
Tiptoeing down that sideline. Possession for Shane O'Leary, the grad student with tallies in 8 of his 9 games. Liam White, player you know very well from his time in the Baltimore high school area. That boys Latin ball down. Nittany Lions with the scoop. That's Will Costin.
Yeah, first time we've mentioned Liam White tonight. I'm a little surprised. He's had such a terrific freshman campaign thus far for Ohio State, but they've had other guys step up, and that's the beauty of this Ohio State offense. It's deep and almost faceless. You know, Marinier is the headliner, but they just have 6, 7, 8 guys that can hurt you with their offensive play.
White surrounded by so many upperclassmen in those first 2 midfield groups. Will Peden, neat moves, feed it side there. Matthews in tight, stonewalled by Fayak. And around the crease, they're going to give the ball to Penn State.
Matthews was stuffed by Fayak, but he was pushed into the crease. So that gives possession back to Penn State. But what a save by Pig Tasty.
3.5 minutes into the 4th. Penn State knocking on the door again. Going to the cage, just snapped wide as Peden gave a diving effort.
Beautiful feed. Matthews on the doorstep, and Big Tasty gets even bigger, makes that clean stop.
He was so battle-tested a season ago, Fayak as a freshman. Coach Myers said of the big fella, you know, it could go either way. Sometimes you see freshmen have great seasons and then those sophomore slumps. Not in the category with Fayak. Conscientious, keeps a journal. They have a scheduled meeting between the head coach and keeper every week to make sure they're all on the same page.
And he's got a great tutor if he ever needs an ear. His brother Allert playing here at Penn State.
Exchange it for Marinier on the go. Whistle, give it back to the Nittany Lions. Ball landing in their cross a whole lot more now in this fourth quarter. Plenty of time remaining, trailing just by 2.
I wonder if you're Ohio State, now comes the balance of, do we stay aggressive offensively without being reckless, or do we start to use the clock as our friend? I think it's going to be a combination of both, but obviously second illegal screen in this half that's been called on Ohio State.
Penn State travels to College Park for a Saturday showdown with Maryland. You and I will be there for that one. Ohio State getting a home date against Rutgers. Between now and then, plenty of heavy lifting between these two as Fayak is laser locked on that ball now with another strong save.
Well, and his last 2 saves have been clean, no rebounds. He's more dialed in now than ever in this contest.
Ball sticking in that mesh. Blake Island gets it set up for Ohio State in the Scarlet. Griffin Turner, who played 3 seasons at Hofstra before transferring. Number 1 in the Scarlet. Now for O'Leary on the hop against Aldridge. Gets inside. He scores! Shane O'Leary from time to time on that wing has been unstoppable.
You referenced a transfer portal earlier, Joe. O'Leary comes to Columbus via Amherst. He was a University of Massachusetts Minutemen. And O'Leary has been ready for battle here tonight. This wing dodge that he takes on has been so effective this evening. But he got on my radar in this game with that beautiful check that led to an easy goal earlier in the game. And his dodging ability has been terrific. He doesn't look like he is the fastest of foot, but he uses that tall, lanky frame to get leverage and get inside.
Buckeyes sharing the rock once more, growing the lead to 11-8 with 9 and change to go in the fourth. Trainer directing traffic. Captain for the Nittany Lions. 5-goal games earlier this season against Colgate and Princeton. Aquino leaving for Amon. Trainer, see if he likes this matchup. Forced back a couple times by Cullen Brown. Aquino, no shooting lane. Fakes the flip, keeps it against Langermeyer. Nice cut there. Matthews didn't convert. It was right there. Buckeyes having issues on the clear. Lehman selling out with a diving effort on the sideline, and it comes up for Penn State.
Yeah, no over and back, because it was Penn State that kicked it over that midfield line. But, man, you don't think this game means something to these guys? Both of these squads selling out, playing physical, fun to watch.
Fayak had 13 saves against Notre Dame. He's done one better than that in this one for a season-high 14.
He's been terrific in the second half, this fourth quarter in particular.
Wallstrom drawing defenders. Aquino. There's another save for Fayak.
I like the looks Penn State is getting. Fayak is just on his A game.
Clearing time for the Buckeyes. Nittany Lions stretching them out. Matthews finds the open man, that's Langermeyer. And Ohio State can settle in. Game clock management now, Mark, with 7.5 to go.
They can become deliberate and judicious without being ultra conservative, but the clock is Ohio State's friend.
Ed Sheehan tallies in 5 of his last 8. On the go. Trying to force a switch there. Pass to the inside, score! Backside put away for Sheehan.
The parade of goal scorers and contributors to this Ohio State offense continues to expand. Sheehan's been around. He's been through the tough times of Ohio State lacrosse, and he just waits patiently for Garrett Haas to beat his man, the aggressive slide, because Penn State has got to get the ball back. And Sheehan with the easy finish.
Sheehan becomes the 7th different goal scorer for Ohio State in this game, makes it 12-8. A dozen tallies on the season for the California native. And once more, it cannot be understated how often Ohio State is getting the face-off possessions and a chance to lengthen their lead.
They've done a tremendous job here tonight. And it's hard to believe that February 1st, that Utah loss, the bad mojo around this program, around Ohio State lacrosse fans. And Nick Myers told us this week, he goes, maybe it was my fault for scheduling a February 1 game. That's the earliest we've ever played in the history of this program. But boy, have they rebounded.
Parnham comes up with this. Frassian looking to clear. And what was the expression Coach Myers used, that early loss? It creates that fight or flight reaction way sooner than what you might anticipate at the outset of a campaign. They've settled in nicely and are threatening their 9th straight win.
Again, Penn State, they came back against Cornell, down 4 goals. They were aided by a 2-minute non-releasable penalty, but this team does have it in their bailiwick to score frequently and consistently in situations like this.
Peden's on that mission now with Trainer. Trainer looping one over the top to Aquino, picked up there by Dominic Shaw out of the short stick defensive midfield stable for the Buckeyes. Aquino and friends, 22 seconds to shoot. Peden on the hop against Ari Allen. Off the curl, Room, Fayak, another save. Whether you go high or low on him right now, he's seeing it extremely well.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Joe. They've tried high to high, low to high, now low to low, high to low, and the big man, 6'2", 297 pounds, is all over it.
Closing in on a career best. He had 17 against Virginia. He's got 16 unofficially tonight. Less than 5 minutes away for the Buckeyes. On the road in South Bend, on the road in Denver, on the road in University Park. Impressive. But not done yet. McKenna ragging time. Aldridge looking for the takeaway. Sheehan just chilling with the 27 seconds to shoot. Jogging away on King, the short stick D-mid. Shot clock's down to 13. Mayer with Aldridge. Here comes the double help. Shot clock violation given up there. The possession given up by the Buckeyes. Their mission was to take that time on the game clock down as far as possible. Job well done. Penn State has 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to rally. They need 4.
Well, Ohio State did a nice job on that possession. They still have 2 timeouts left as well and didn't need to call it because none of his guys got in trouble. You give up possession and you put confidence in the strength of your team. This defense that Ohio State, Travis Crane, defensive coordinator, associate head coach, leading the way with these guys.
These two squads, their first top 10 matchup for Penn State and Ohio State since April of 2019. Amon circles the net. Langermeyer waiting for him. Fayak on the intercept. The active goalie stick, and then he shovels it away to start the clear.
A little bit of a force from Amon.
Ball down on the sideline. Island sneaks away with it. And it's cleared across by Cullen Brown. Donnery serves it on back. 2:45 left in the 4th.
What an effort from Ohio State, weathering the storm. It's been a game of runs, a game of emotion, and they've handled it beautifully here on the road.
Penn State gave him an early punch in the nose. This one's bounced towards the empty cage. Frasian's out there overplaying. Penn State needs the ball back. They get it. Penn State jumped out to a 3-1 lead. Luca Di Bartolomeo comes away with the ball, along stick midfielder. We get the offside call against Penn State.
Just a really uneven effort tonight for the Nittany Lions. You mentioned the 3-1 lead. And while you want to look at an extended rest to get guys back, get your guys healthy, sometimes it can disrupt your rhythm. And Penn State was on a four-game win streak. Huge win over Cornell, a dominant win over Robert Morris. And Ohio State's game plan, their execution, coupled maybe with that little bit of a layoff, has played into what, if this holds, what this result could be.
Timeout, Buckeyes. Timeout. Nick Myers calling the shots on the Buckeye sideline. 12-8 in favor of his game with less than 2 minutes to go. High-scoring Penn State held to 8 goals. Ohio State has a 12-8 advantage, and Caleb Fyock breaking the huddle there has been sharp as a tack in the second half.
He's been terrific. Penn State has gotten some really good looks on big number 18. And what I like most about this fourth quarter is he's making clean saves. He was giving up rebounds in the first half that led to a couple of opportunities and goals for Penn State, but he has been on point and locked in, and he's always a crowd favorite. Look at him waving to his fans.
Closing in on a career best. Penn State, the lowest amount of goals they've scored in a game. Oh, this one to the cage for a layup finish there. Time for Matthews and the Buckeyes. He gave that sleep gesture, thinking that this one is put to bed. 13-8. Jeff Tambroni's squad, the fewest goals they've scored in a single game this season was 10. The OT loss to Princeton.
Matthews just doing what you're told coming out of the timeout. You get doubled, the crease is vacated, the goal is vacated, and Matthews playing it up to the Buckeye faithful who have made the journey here to State College. It's been a good night for Buckeye lacrosse.
Matthews makes it a 5-goal advantage. Just about 90 seconds left. Penn State squad soon to fall to 6-2. Ohio State will improve to 9-1. Fyock reaching behind, has control of that ball. What was a 5-5 game at the half turned very much in Ohio State's favor. Sharp third, and even better fourth when it mattered. Sloppiness there in the midfield. Less than a minute to go. Ross brings it ahead for Penn State. King fires, he scores! A laser from John King.
King trying to help Penn State end on a good note. Look, this is a 5-game season for these ball clubs, all 6 of the Big Ten men's lacrosse teams, and we've seen a wild weekend. Michigan, for the 4th consecutive time, knocking off Maryland, this time in College Park. Rutgers beating Hopkins yesterday in Baltimore at Homewood Field, and Ohio State looks like they're going to claim this one. It's all about ending on a positive note, and once this one's over, turning your attention to the next obstacle that is in your way.
Nick Rude had the game winner for Michigan in that 3-OT decision over Maryland. Hayden Summer had 3 goals. Rutgers knocked off Johns Hopkins at Homewood Field. It was a crazy first day in conference play, and the Ohio State Buckeyes are 40 seconds away from getting themselves in the win column.
Yeah, and then, you know, look, you look towards next week, Rutgers and Ohio State will tangle. We've got Penn State and Maryland, so we're going to have 2 teams coming off of losses getting after one another. And then Johns Hopkins has to make the trek out to Ann Arbor to take on a Michigan team that rebounds from a tough loss to Notre Dame to take out the Maryland Terrapins.
Penn State split a couple games with the Terps last year. They lost here, then they devoured Maryland in the Big Ten semis. Penn State on the road this season is 3-0.
Yeah, Maryland getting great goaltending from Logan McNaney. Offensively led by Eric Spanos. A couple of key transfers. Johns Hopkins, they're going to have to figure it out offensively. Not very productive yesterday at home against Rutgers.
Win streaks. Fairfield just edging past Ohio State. Ohio State's ready to tie that up with the Stags. And in the process, snap a 4-game Big Ten Conference losing skid. Should this one hold? Nick Myers kept saying they had to get to the second level offensively against the Penn State defenders, and they did so. They were able to pierce and get to the heart of their defense.
They sure were, and we saw Penn State throw different wrinkles throughout this game. Zone, you know, the zone where you have short stick defensive middies down at the goal and man-to-man, and none of it worked against this Ohio State team that is just really focused and really executing at a high level.
O'Leary hands off for Sheehan down to the final 27 seconds. Ohio State, it'll be their first win in University Park since March of 2015. 10 years in waiting as Sheehan avoids shooting at the empty cage as Frasian's out helping the double. This one, elementary now. The Ohio State Buckeyes improved to 9-1. They knock off Penn State by the final of 13-9. A jubilant Caleb Fayok.
This is a big one for Ohio State. You can see the excitement and joy. Big Tasty leading his team. I mean, this was a heavyweight matchup tonight. Two teams on a roll, two teams playing very, very good lacrosse. And Ohio State digs out of an early hole to take home an emphatic win back to Columbus.
Coach Myers giving his team a well-deserved round of applause. Ohio State banks a win against Penn State. Penn State had taken 8 of the last 9 in the series history against these two. This is the 29th beating, and the Buckeyes keep one of the nation's longest win streaks rolling right along.